Hi, I'm Aaron Eckhart from Frankenstein. I would say that this is the next chapter. That this is, now you're taking the monster of Frankenstein, Adam, into the modern world. And answering the questions, you know, how does he sleep, how does he eat, you know, what's he like, you know, how does he evolve in terms of his outer skin and also on the interior. And how does he defend himself? You know, this movie is about a man or a monster looking for a soul, looking for love, companionship, like we all are. And that's what the story is about. And then we have good and evil mixed in there with gargoyles and demons in this battle for immortality and all this other stuff, and Cali stick fighting. So there's a lot of elements, but the main story is about what the monster of Frankenstein would be like in the modern world. You have good and evil, gargoyles and demons in this world that we've created, and obviously one wants to reign supreme. And in order to resurrect all of their soldiers or warriors who have died, they have to animate those bodies, but they can't animate them because they don't have souls. Now here comes the monster Frankenstein, who has somehow been animated artificially, but has a soul. How did they do that? And so they're trying to figure that one out before the gargoyles can save Adam and get him away from the demons. So it's pretty complex. It's a fun story because the guy in the middle is just trying to, you know, live his life. It's like, you know, he's just trying to find his purpose in life and try to, you know, be accepted by society and just go on his way. But then these two very dynamic, eternal forces come to work on him, and he has to figure out who the good and who the bad is. Because he is mankind, he personifies mankind. He is, you know, he's, like I said before, he's a man in search of his soul, so he's answering those eternal questions. What are the three most important questions in life? Where did we come from? What are we doing here, and where are we going? You know, those are sort of the iconic questions of life. And you have a central character who's asking those questions, who is in search of those questions. And we watch his journey. It's just like Joseph Campbell or any sort of mythology, you know, the golden ring or whatever it is. You know, how do we catch the golden ring? What are the lessons that we need to learn? What are the mistakes that we're going to make? And that's what this story is about. We're used to, through the history of cinema, seeing Frankenstein as a large monster with bolts and square head and very cumbersome and not too smart, sort of a guy that's not too articulate. We've gone away from that. We've made him much more human, much more athletic, much more able, a person who's interested in life. And I think our story is more accessible than those others in terms of everyday life. And I think that's what makes the film exciting, because it's much more adventurous. And he's not a victim. You know, he is, but on the other hand, he takes care of his problems. He's proactive, he's energetic, and he's pissed. Well, Stuart has created, first of all, the gargoyles and demons, who they're unlike anything we've seen before. He's created this world we've never seen before. This has an underworld kind of feel to it. It takes place in the darkness. It takes place at night. There's, you know, all those colors of underworld, but it's a different world. And, you know, again, I'm going to say the thematics of it, too. This idea of good and evil and you know, having to make a choice. And I think that's where this movie stands apart. I did. I went back to Mary Shelley's Frankenstein and said, what's this all about? I think he's gotten a bad rap over time in the movies and television, I have to be frank, because in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, you know, he's a smart guy, you know, and he's interested and wants to learn. And I think we've sort of carried that on. He's put together through, you know, different corpses, but he's got it all together in his mind, which I think is really refreshing. You know, I think it's time for Frankenstein to own up to the fact that he's a stud. Well, in this movie, we have Cali stick fighting, which If you're familiar with it, I wasn't familiar with it. What it is using 2.5-foot long rattan sticks in both hands to fight. It's a martial art. And Stuart, the writer and director, wanted to incorporate that into the film. He thought it'd be great. For 6 months, I studied how to Cali stick fight. It was very physical. It's very specific and intense, and it's me doing it all in the film as well as the other actors, you know. So it's quite exciting. And then seeing the sticks spark off each other and where they hit and all the formations. So I think the audience is gonna love it. And plus, it's in 3D, so their sticks are gonna be coming right at you. Well, in Harvey Dent, it was more the Joker and Batman who did the fighting, you know. I was sort of, I killed with expediency, I killed economically. So, in this one, really, it's tough. I mean, there's physical, really good shape, and the sticks really are physical. So this movie is by far the hardest that I've ever done physically, and the most demanding on my body. And took the most concentration. Well, I grew up watching all the superheroes, you know, on the Saturday morning cartoons. I've always liked the Green Lantern. I always liked the, you know, Batman and Robin. And it's interesting because, you know, the movies now really are focused on superheroes. And audiences are loving them because they get to take them to places where they only dream of going and seeing things that are fantastic. And I think it's great. The thing that I like about our movie and that I liked about The Dark Knight were that they were grounded in reality, you know, and they're really fighting for something. And I think that's what sets The Dark Knight apart, and I think that's what sets this movie apart. Well, it's interesting because, you know, whenever you're in a fantastic world like we're gonna be in Frankenstein, or the director usually comes with a set of rules. This is what gravity means in this world. This is what hunger means in this world. This is, you know, so there are rules. In order to ground the film, you always have to come from yourself, what's personal to you. And you have to ground those rules in you. So as, I'm not saying it very well, but you have to be as realistic as possible. So I never look at it as a monster, I always look at it as me. Whatever my character's doing is me, so that the audience can see the humanness. Because the story's gonna take you to these fantastic places. Now, it's the actor's job to ground that and make it real for the audience. And I think you'll have a better experience that way.